Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State, 6'4", 250 pounds. He's a prototypical blocker. I think he's going to be used as that inline tight end. I think there are very few question marks there. Decent size, decent frame, great pair of hands, but is not a natural route runner coming out of college. Do you think that's an area that he could improve and therefore coming to a more rounded tight end? Or do you think he's just going to be, like we talked about Brenton Strange already twice on the show, another kind of blocking tight end that's not going to do much for us for fantasy?
Well, he's my tight end 3, so I think I've got more hope for Sinnott than I have Theo Johnson. Someone that Matt Thornton, the weatherman, a lot of people know him as now, is he put me on to Ben Sinnott. He's a massive fan of Ben Sinnott, and he's been rising since the combine. He had a really good combine. This guy was historically just, again, a proper athlete. Used to be a big hockey player. He played on defense back at Iowa. But he's got the production, whereas likes of Theo Johnson hasn't got that production to back it up. You look at his stats from this past year: 4th most tight end yardage in the country, 4th most yards after contact, which is great. 14 forced missed tackles, which is 3rd. And then you look at the PFF receiving grade, 81.0, which is the 2nd in the class. As you mentioned, he's got them great hands, and that production in his final season is really optimistic. Is really good to see. I really like the approach of, what have you done for me lately? What have you shown me lately? And he's really sort of built up a head of steam this past year. He led his team in yardage. He was almost the focal point of that team, and he got plenty of accolades this year. First team All Big 12 each of the last 2 seasons as well. So I think there's also, he's not very explosive out of his breaks. And as you mentioned, he's not the best route runner, but I think he's a young guy. He's 21 years old. His separation's not the best, but if he could work on that route running, if he can get himself a little bit more separated, then I think he makes up for it with his hands. He's such a reliable tight end. I just think he's someone that possibly will go later in the draft. He's probably best working under an established tight end and then being more of that developmental tight end to come on perhaps in a couple of years' time. And I am interested in, because the cost that I've seen to acquire him in the last few weeks hasn't really moved too much since the combine. He had a really good combine, but I still seen him go in the 4th round, which if he's there in the 4th round, I'll be taking quite a few shares of Benson. I do think that there is plenty of upside, whereas sort of Theo Johnson, I'll let other people take him. I will take the risk on Ben Sinnott. So he's my tight end 3 and definitely interested in him.
Yeah, I'm a big Sinnott fan. He's my tight end 3 as well. I think that I'm always going to root for a good story. I think anytime a guy is a walk-on, becomes kind of the centerpiece of their team's offense, and is potentially going to be a day 2 draft pick in the NFL draft, I'm excited. It's nice that you've seen growth and progression. I think I went back and watched some of his freshman tape, and you can see that he is a phenomenal blocker, but he has improved in that. He's really not a good route runner, but he has improved from his freshman year. I think that at the moment, he is almost the perfect tight end 2, in that he's going to be able to play in those 2 tight end sets as the kind of the primary blocker that can be a safe, reliable check down option that's never going to tear things up. But as you said, he's progressed through his college career. I think given time in the NFL, he is crazy young. We talk about some of these tight ends. Dalton Kincaid was like 24 last year. Benson is coming in as a 21-year-old rookie. Like, he's going to have opportunity to grow, to develop. And I think that it's one of these that I will probably draft decent amount of Ben Sinnott in leagues where I've got a deep roster or a taxi squad that I can hold people for a couple of years, because I think he's not a player that you're going to draft and you're going to get immediate production from. He is going to be a player that you're probably going to need to hold for at least a year, if not 2, before you're getting any return on that draft pick. And yeah, some leagues, if you're in a 20 to 25 man dynasty league, you probably don't want to waste a pick on him, because I think you're just going to end up dropping him in 4 or 5 months when injuries start to happen. But if you've got that depth, if you've got that roster spot or taxi squad that you can afford to have him sit there, I think he's a great prospect, and I think he could potentially develop into something really good down the line. It's just going to require a little bit of patience as such. We are ever so close to 1,800 subscribers. If you are watching this and you've not hit that subscribe button, do us a favor. We've got rookie profiles dropping daily, and we have got best ball season just around the corner. So you're not going to want to miss any of that.